Brandy Barber. Like Catherine said, I'm the IT Manager for the Exchange Bank, and today we're just going to talk to y'all about cybersecurity and banking. We're going to look at it from two different perspectives, what the customer and the consumer can do to protect their information, and also what the Exchange Bank does to protect our information. So what should you do to stay safe? First, when checking emails, take your time. Phishing emails often imply a sense of urgency to rush you into clicking a link without taking the time to inspect the link. There's always links and emails with phishing trying to get you to do something that always makes you feel rushed to do it, a prize or something's wrong, so just take your time. Also, ask yourself, was I expecting this email? Do I know this person? Do I actually use this product or service? Are there any misspellings? Does everything look okay? Is anything out of place? A lot of times these emails are auto-generated and they don't exactly look right, or there's misspellings. They're trying their best to look like something else. So just ask yourself, were you looking for this email? And also, if you're ever in doubt, ask for verification. It's better to be safe than sorry. Give the other party a quick call to make sure the email came from them, or just ask your IT team to inspect if you're at work and have someone. Things you don't do is don't trust email filtering to do all the work. Experienced phishers can craft emails that avoid elements that automated filters look for. Also, don't rely on the sender's name in the email header. Phishers can change the name field to say whatever they want. Pay attention to the full email address too. And don't click on any links or attachments unless you know for a fact that it's a legit email. One bad click can have the worst results on your device or network. Next is when using social media. Post only meaningful content. Avoid sharing content that provides too much detail about your personal matters or your workplace. Remember that people can screenshot and possibly use what you share against you. Utilize the privacy settings to limit who can see your profiles. It's okay to have an outgoing personality, but strangers and random people on the internet can use what you share to target you and possibly impersonate you. Don't participate in reposting campaigns. That's what you two share information about yourself. These can be used to come up with answers to security questions that are widely used to reset passwords. Don't click on random links, especially on public posts. Social media is full of bots and fake profiles that post malicious links that are often disguised as fake news articles. Staying up to date. Always keep your devices and software up to date. Major IT companies such as Microsoft release monthly security patches on the second Tuesday of every month. These updates mitigate known vulnerabilities. Uninstall what you don't need. Some people install software, use it once, and then never use it again. Leaving a bunch of unused software on your computer can lead to more vulnerabilities. Don't wait too long. The more time that elapses after missing a security update is more time the vulnerability becomes more widely known and more hackers will try to exploit it. Don't use end-of-life software. Most software is published with a support life cycle. After that period is over, vendors will no longer maintain or publish security updates for the software-specific version, and you'll need to upgrade. Using strong passwords. Use a password that's at least 10 to 14 characters long. Short passwords can be cracked using automated brute force software. Long passwords create too many possible combinations that would take too long to compute. Use a combination of uppercase and lowercase passwords and throw in a number and symbol if possible. Realize it's possible to make secure passwords that are easier to remember. Consider using a sentence or a passphrase when you're allowed to. And never use generic terms in your passwords. Passwords are simple words and year combinations that can be cracked using software or guessed by experienced hackers. Never use personal information in your password. Hackers can try guessing your password based on information they find out about you, such as your birth year. Don't write your passwords down. If you need help remembering your password, at least use a secure password manager. And safe browsing. Always make sure that websites you're entering sensitive information into say HTTPS instead of HTTP in the address bar. This usually is accompanied by a green padlock in the corner that says secure. Also, make sure you're on the correct website you want to be on. Many people can confuse domain names. That's the part afterwards, the .com or .net. Sometimes those websites can be confusing. And also check for misspellings in your URL. Check your browser settings. Most people always use default browser settings, and but browsers offer additional privacy and security settings that you can configure for yourself. Don't trust browser plugins or add-ons that claim to offer you privacy. Your employer or ISP can still see your internet traffic. Many of these plugins are malicious and they just do the opposite of what they say. Don't use non-mainstream browsers. Many off-the-wall browsers you may come across offer inciting features, but generally they're just harvesting your information for advertising. And never choose Remember Me on a public or shared computer. Anyone can go in behind you if you remember me and have access to what you just did. So that's how you can protect yourself on the internet and your banking. So this is what the Exchange Bank does to keep its customers safe. So we have a firewall. The first line of defense against any threat is our firewall. Our entire bank network rests behind these firewalls. Our firewalls deny all traffic unless it has been specifically allowed. This deny all approach is a best practice in the information security field. There are thousands of network ports that are used for different functions and by different software to communicate. Our firewall is configured to close any ports that we don't need, which drastically reduces the potential attack surface. We also block foreign countries that are infamous for state-sponsored cyber attacks, and we block IPs deemed malicious by the FBI and our firewall vendor. And our IT team meets monthly to discuss firewall statistics and inspect network traffic with our firewall vendor. While our firewall configuration is considered strong and doesn't normally receive recommendations, we're always looking for ways to improve the defense of our network in an ever-evolving cyber landscape. IDPS. IDPS stands for Intrusion Detection and Prevention System. In addition to our firewall, an IDPS device sits within our network, and it monitors all the network traffic for malicious network traffic and known cyber attack patterns. The IDPS device conducts signature-based and anomaly-based monitoring. Signature-based monitoring works by inspecting network packets for sequences of data that match known malware, a technology that's also used by antivirus software. Anomaly-based monitoring works by utilizing AI and machine learning to identify unusual network traffic that is outside our normal. If the IDPS deems a possible cyber attack is taking place, our firewall vendor will shut down all access between our network and the internet and alert our IT team immediately. Fortunately, we've never experienced this. Next, we use a SIEM, and a SIEM stands for System Information and Event Management. A SIEM device collects numerous logs from workstations, servers, network devices, and analyzes them. The technology can identify malicious activity and will trigger notifications for suspicious behavior and other activity that we want to monitor. Notifications can range from firewall logs that show attempted connections to our bank network from the dark web to monitoring USB activity from our employees. Ultimately, it allows our IT team to closely monitor everything going on within our network in a real-time situation. At Exchange Bank, our SIEM is also monitored 24/7 to ensure that our network is safe around the clock. Our IT team receives daily emails, and information security analysts from our SIEM vendor can respond if malicious activity is detected after hours. Our patch management. As mentioned earlier, keeping devices and software up to date is a must to avoid known vulnerabilities. We have a patch management platform that keeps an inventory of every workstation and server on our network and what software versions they are running. Following Patch Tuesday, patches are first applied to a test script to ensure the compatibility. Afterwards, they are automatically applied throughout the rest of the network. We can also apply those patches manually if there's any trouble during the installation so that we make sure everything's always up to date. We also keep a close eye on the installed software in our network. Any prohibited software that is non-business related that could pose a threat to our network is swiftly addressed. We also ensure all of our software isn't at end of life and make advanced plans to upgrade before any deadlines. Our endpoint protection. Most people would refer to this as antivirus, but now that's changed and endpoint protection is a little more than that. So while defending the perimeter of the network is crucial, it's also important to make sure endpoints such as physical devices, the employee workstations, servers, things like that are protected since they directly access the internet. We go beyond just using traditional antivirus and we use endpoint protection software instead. Endpoint protection software features real-time detection and response. Traditional antivirus software works by scanning a system and finding malware that's already there. Endpoint protection works by stopping the malware before it even gets downloaded onto the system. We make sure our endpoint protection software is constantly up to date to make sure it can look out for the most recent signatures of malware. Email security. Phishing is prevalent now more than ever, so many people being online and working from home. We have a secure email gateway that features several layers of protection, technologies that inspect emails before they reach our employees' mailbox. Our hosted Exchange system features data loss prevention, targeted attack protection, social engineering protection, and click time protection. Emails go through this series of checks and are assigned a trust score. If the trust score does not meet our threshold, the email is quarantined pending review by our IT department. We also utilize secure email for emails containing sensitive information for our customers. Our system detects, for instance, a social security number or debit card number and in the body of the email, and it'll automatically be encrypted. We can also choose to encrypt any email at any time with any reason if we want to by a trigger word in our subject line. Internet security. The internet contains many malicious websites that can trick people into downloading malware or establishing connections with hackers. Internet traffic is filtered on our firewall using a web content filtering system. Web content filtering works through an AI service that inspects hundreds of millions of websites and categorizes them. Certain categories can then be blocked as a whole to restrict access to certain websites. If a legitimate website ever gets miscategorized, we can whitelist it on our network, or we can request that a human inspection from our vendor be done to recategorize it. This happens when we have a certain website that gets categorized wrong. We need it for business needs. The employee contacts us, our IT department inspects the website, makes sure it's good, and then we whitelist it for their use. Employees that require little internet access to perform their job functions, such as our tellers, have more internet restrictions than others who require more access, such as our lawn officers. This is a concept known as least privilege, which is a best practice in the information security field. And training. Ultimately, the finest security technology can't protect against human error. Due to this, the most important information security tool we have are our human firewalls, otherwise known as our employees. Our employees receive mandatory cybersecurity training twice a year. This training is provided through a vendor that develops modern material that stays up to date with the current cyber landscape. Also, our employees are continuously tested with simulated phishing emails, and employees who fail these simulations or other tests are assigned targeted training to help them improve and be more aware. And lastly, we pride ourselves in being a local community bank that always puts our customers first. Our employees are trained to always keep their work safe and look out for their customers in all areas of their customer service. And that's all I have today. Does anybody have any questions or anything about cybersecurity and banking or what the Exchange Bank's doing for cybersecurity and banking?